with y'all? What's good? What's good? Now I want to come on here real quick, and I just want to talk about what happens after you die. Now, throughout life, throughout just being a human and things like that, throughout society, that is one of the most, if not the most, asked question of all time. What happens after you die? There are so many religions depicting what happens after you die. Some people believe you go to heaven or hell. Some people believe you go here. Some people believe you experience this, that, and the third. Look, I'm here to tell you that this is what happens after you die. After you die, you simply become one with Source. What I mean by this is that you have to realize that as multidimensional infinite beings, we are simply experiencing life through the lens of what it's like to be a human. Our consciousness is what manifests our brain, which subsequently manifests our body. Okay? You have to realize that society is very heavily predicated upon this I factor, this I, belief system, believing that I am this, I am that, we are this. You have to realize that it is the separation between ego and spirit that creates conflict. The spirit is, the ego wants, okay? The ego wants to be something. The ego wants something to identify as so that it can, take on these feelings of security. The ego simply wants to be wanted, okay? But what you must realize is that the spirit, the soul, God, if you will, God simply just is. Like I said, there are many religions in the world that depict, what happens after you die, depict who God is. And in actuality, God is simply just the consciousness, the omnipresent force that manifests and collapses reality in front of our fucking eyes. As a soul, you are not different from this multidimensional consciousness that manifests willfully. It is simply humans that give the duality of what is good or what is bad. There is no such thing as what is good or bad. It simply just is. And it's the ego that creates this fear-based belief system around what happens after we die. Me personally, I'm not scared of death. I may not necessarily, may not necessarily agree with the method in which I die, but I'm not scared to die. There is no such thing as death. When they say life is a dream, that shit wasn't a lie, bro. You gotta realize that as a consciousness, like I said, as the conscious, take yourself out of the wheels or the shoes of you being a human. As consciousness, you can't die. Okay, as a soul, you cannot feel pain. It is the body that manifests pain, that manifests hurt, that manifests even happiness. The ego simply just is. As an etheric extension of consciousness, you simply co-create within this plane of reality. You need your body in order to manifest this reality. You need your soul to manifest this reality. And it is the assimilation of both forces that creates enlightenment. This reality that we manifest is simply just an illusion. It is a figment of our imagination. As I already stated, your awareness or your godlike self manifests this reality, and through this, you project a reality through your eyes. Your brain is what dictates everything. Life is created and filtered through our belief system. So if I simply tell you that the grass is blue and I genuinely believe it as something as being true in my mind, to me, the grass is genuinely blue. As a soul, you can't die because there is no you that actually exists. Your soul creates this body to not only experience and learn as the soul, but everything that you know, everything that you feel, and everything that you believe is something that was created outside of you. And this perception of self doesn't actually fucking exist. There is no you that actually dies. Think of consciousness, think of awareness, right? Think of the infinite intelligence, think of God as a body of water. And as souls, we come from this same body or ocean of water. We are simply droplets of this one big creation. That doesn't necessarily make us separate from the creation. We've just split up into multiple different extensions of that creation. Even if we look at what I've grown up with, heaven and hell, heaven and hell don't actually exist because our perception of what heaven and hell is are simply 3D human-like things are all man-made. Everything that hell and heaven is described to be is all man-made. Fire, water, gold, gates, whatever it is, these are all 3D and materialistic. And all of these things don't lie outside of yourself. So when it comes to death, there is no reason to be fearful of death. You can't control someone who doesn't fear the actions or their consequences. And that's why heaven and hell was made. So that as humans, we can, be subservient, we can listen to our masters, if you will, so that we could fall in line and not be punished for our actions. And you must realize that there was a time before the introduction of what was heaven or what was hell. Where do those people go? Where do those people go after they died? Think of life as a school. You go from ages, 4 to 18, just learning and accumulating as much knowledge as possible. You don't get condemned, or you don't get chastised or punished for getting a wrong answer, getting a bad test grade. You simply just move on and keep going. Imagine someone going through the best medical school of the country and someone going through the worst medical school of the country. What are they both at the end? They're both doctors. It doesn't matter how they actually got there. It's about the destination in and of itself. And that destination led those two people to being in the completely same place. And so with that being said, there is nothing to fear because your perception of self is simply an illusion. Again, it is the ego that wants to identify with endeavors, with belief systems, with people so that we can feel secure, so that we can feel safe. It is simple human nature. But when you allow yourself to disconnect your mind and your body, you begin to realize that you were everything that you wanted the whole time. There is no you outside of you because you are literally everything. Now you may be wondering, oh, why is it that when I heard someone talk about their near-death experience, they experienced heaven or hell? That's because your brain releases what is known as DMT, which is a chemical substance that is released from your brain every single time you sleep that allows you to not only create a reality, but create a dream. So subconsciously, when you see heaven or hell, or when you see Jesus, or when you see some of these people that are talked about in some of the greatest stories of all time, it's not that they actually seen it. They're subconsciously manifesting that because that's what they believe that they're meant to see in this life. So if you believe, or if you subconsciously believe that you're going to go to hell, you're going to manifest that through your afterlife experiences. Think about it. What's God? What's a God to a non-believer? Yeah, you can have a God that can instate the most amount of authority of all time, but that God doesn't exist if I don't believe in it. It only has as much authority as I put into it. So when you don't put your authority into these fear-based programming, into this fear-based belief system, then you can't be affected by it. And I choose not to be affected by it. As a soul, you are a multi-dimensional piece of fucking existence. So with that being said, your multi-dimensional awareness extends way past what we could ever possibly believe to be true. And with that, your subconscious mind continues to manifest beyond this plane of reality. And because God manifests at its own will as an extension of God, you continue to create a reality for yourself as God, or as an extension of God. Have a beautiful, blessed, productive, and successful day. And remember, the goal of life is not just to be infinitely great, it's to be greater than infinity. Peace.